Oops. Oops.
Are we live, Betsy?
We are. I'm just having a minor technical difficulty, but here we go.
Well, while you're doing that, I'll just introduce myself and you. Hi, everybody. My name is Laura Hassan. I work for ECI Development, leading the sales and marketing team. And here with me today is Betsy Rosenlund. Betsy is part of our team, has been for, gosh, I think about 10 years now. Betsy is one of our Teak experts, and she's going to guide you through this Teak explained today. But before we do that, we'll just give a few more folks chance to get in. I'm curious if you can go to the bottom of your screen and find the Q&A button. That's where you'll be able to put questions in so that we can answer your questions at the end of the session. But I like to make sure it's working for everyone and find out where you're all coming in from. So if you can find that Q&A while we wait for others to come in, and put in where you're watching from today. All right, so we've got Karen from sunny Las Vegas. I was just there last week. So hi, Karen. Jonathan from Seattle. Jessica also from Las Vegas.
Oh, big Las
Margaret.
Vegas crowd.
So we got a lot of Las Vegas. Joe from Pittsburgh. Peter from BC. Another Irvin from Las Vegas, Steve from Chicago, Kai from Atlanta. Hi, Betsy and Laura from Karen. All right, everybody, that's fantastic. So it looks like that's working for most of you, and you can use that for questions later on. So again, I'm here with Betsy Rosenlund, and Betsy, you can take it away.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us this afternoon, evening, and for taking some time to learn a little bit more about teak. Like Laura said, I have been working with ECI and teak hardwoods for about 10 and a half years now. I am a teak owner. I also got my residency in Panama through teak ownership, and we'll talk a little bit about that during the session. And yeah, I love talking about teak. It's probably one of my favorite products that we have to offer. So really excited to be here with you all tonight. All right. So as a company, ECI, we were established in 1996, initially as a bank and then turned into a mortgage company, which turned into a development company. And then we expanded into some more agricultural investments like the teak in around 1999. So we've been working in the region now for over 30 years and have really established a great community of kind of like-minded folks who are looking maybe outside of traditional investments and options here with the teak. So one of the first questions you're probably asking is why did we choose Panama to grow teak? If you're familiar with teak at all, you probably know that it is native to Southeast Asia, so it grows um, naturally in India, Malaysia, Burma, Myanmar, and we did look at those countries, but they're a bit far, and we wanted something where we could be kind of more on that US time zone. And so our CEO, Mike Cobb, spent a lot of time in the Library of Congress doing research on teak and kind of what it needed. Found out after a few trips down to different parts of the country that Panama really does have all of the qualities. Specifically, the Darien region, which we'll be talking about, has all of these qualities that are necessary for teak. Some of the most important things are 3 to 5 months of dry season. The wet season, of course, is important, but you need that dry season in order for the teak to really grow and develop those qualities that it's known for, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Of course, temperature, elevation, soil are all very important factors in this, but the temperature and the climate are really the most important one. And so, working with folks who know a little bit more about teak than we did. We've landed on a couple different farms here. This is called the Darien province. You're probably most familiar with it from the news with folks crossing back and forth over through the Darien Gap. Our property, our farms are quite far from that. They're just right over the border with the province of Panama, but it's located about 3.5 hours from Panama City in the Darien province, which is not a particularly touristy area, but it is a rich agricultural environment throughout on the drive there. You'll see lots of fruit trees, mangoes, oranges, yucca as well, and a lot of teak has really popped up over the last 15, 20 years. So these are kind of the general locations of that where they are. Most people are familiar with Panama, Panama City, which is kind of right here in the center. And then along the Pan American Highway, you get to our teak farms. And so when Mike Cobb first started this teak farm 20 oh gosh, yeah, 26 years ago, he went down and purchased a cattle pasture and with the vision that it would become a teak farm. And a lot of people thought he was crazy, and he probably at some points thought he was also crazy for doing this. But you know, he knew that 25 years was going to pass one way or another. And if planting teak could produce the returns that it historically has, you know, it was going to be a good thing. And so, with the help of this gentleman here, this is Jacobo Melamed. He was with Mike Cobb on that first trip to Panama in 1998. He was a forestry engineer at the time. He's now risen to the general manager of Hale Forestal, which is the largest forestry management company in Panama. It's where we purchase our seeds and saplings from. They also handle all of the day-to-day maintenance of the farm and are really the ones that are making sure that we get the highest, best quality teak that is available to us so that we can pass that on to you as the owner. And I've got a quick little video here to share with you. Give me one sec.
Buddy Mike Cobb out here at the Teenage Teak Plantation in the Darien jungles of Panama. I just want to point out this is our plantation. You can see when it's well maintained, and over here we have a plantation that's not been maintained. You can just see all of the undergrowth really inhibiting the growth of the tree. So proper maintenance is critically important. Professional forestry management, extremely important for the success of your plantation. And obviously what we're doing here is taking care of your trees. Thank you for having faith in us to do just that.
All right. So as you hopefully saw in that video, having a professional management company to come in and take care of the trees really does make a difference. In a well-managed farm, you'll get tall, straight trees that are ideal for processing into lumber and furniture products, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Whereas an unmanaged farm is exactly that. It's wild growing. There's all sorts of things in there that are taking nutrients from the trees to grow other trees like mango trees and other things that pop up just simply because of the wind blowing and nature taking its course. Oops. So here we planted the farm. First saplings went in the ground in 1999 or 1998, I should say. 1999, they went into the ground. This is what the farm looked like with just the saplings in it. They started to grow a little bit taller in 2000. 2007, we really started to see some major growth here. And one of the nice things about teak is that it is oblivious to things going on in the world around it. So while stocks and bonds and things were struggling from around 2008 to 2012 with the recession, the trees still grew. And one of our favorite quotes is from Steve Sugarud, who says that trees, grow through recessions, they grow through wars, they grow through stock and real estate crashes, they grow through everything. They give you built-in investment growth that isn't guaranteed with a stock. And that's one of the reasons that folks really do like investing in the teak. It's not necessarily subject to the same volatility that a lot of other investments are, and it just keeps on growing. In 2000, around 2015, 2016, we started having owners ask if they could come down to the farm to check out their trees. So we did start hosting some periodic tours. So these are a handful of owners coming down to the farm here. And then in 2000, middle of 2020, we purchased some additional farmland, which had teenage teak already growing on it, as well as land to plant some new teak. So that was a very exciting addition to it. Again, started bringing more and more folks down to come and experience the teak farms. Obviously, you can see this was during COVID. We had a lot of our masks on. But yeah, we've continued to do these tours. Oops. And our most recent one was in January. We've been able to bring out the team from Hale Forestall, who are really helpful in explaining really the entire process of growing the teak from the seed to the time that we harvest it. So we're going to kind of transition now into why people own teak, why we think it's an ideal investment opportunity for somebody who's savvy, thinking outside of the traditional investment box. So there are three main reasons that people choose to own teak. The first one is pretty simple, giving back to Mother Nature. We all know that trees are a very crucial part of our environment and providing us with clean oxygen. And unfortunately, deforestation is a big environmental factor that's impacting, everybody globally. And so with us, one of the things that we've been able to do is certify these properties as certified reforested properties through the government of Panama. And that means that they have come down, they've investigated our project and seen that yes, we are planting trees, and after every harvest, we are required to replant. So while we are, yes, cutting them down, we are replanting them indefinitely and giving back in that way. The second reason that folks are looking at buying teak is that the global demand for teak is up, whereas the global supply is down. So this is a really neat chart, I think, because prior to around 2000, most teak products were coming from old growth teak forests in Southeast Asia. But it's really around the late 1990s that plantation or farmed teak really started to kind of take off. And eventually, the price of teak that is intentionally grown and managed exceeded the value of that old growth teak. And it's also a great thing because it can be done sustainably and in a way that is not detrimental to the natural environment. Over the last 30, 40 years, we have seen an increase in the price of teak lumber, averaging about 5.5% yearly. So there is certainly a demand for it here. And one of the reasons that there is that demand is because the teak is being harvested faster than it can be planted. So as I mentioned kind of at the beginning, teak takes 25 years to reach its maturity. And, we can't, if we could plant trees that were older, we certainly would, but, it does take that 25 years to grow. So if you can imagine what that will do to the price, you can imagine that that 5.5% is probably a fairly conservative estimate on how much that price is going to increase. And the third reason that folks are looking at teak is that it does have above average returns and is ultra safe due to its real value. Unlike a stock or a bond, you can actually go touch that tree. It is real. If you cut it down, you could turn that into lumber, sell that. You could turn it into a finished product and sell that. It's got real value, real worth. Historically, timberland investors have beat the stock market since about 1987, again, without all of that volatility that we see, during times like 2008 2010 with the recession and things like that. The trees just continued to grow. People continue to need wood products in order to do construction on homes and things like that. So the Eagle Daily Investor estimated that if somebody made, a $10,000 investment in timberland in 1971, in 2010, you'd have a return of over about 13.8%, internal rate of return of about 13.8%, which is absolutely unheard of with most any other investment out there. So, and that was, back in 1970 to 2010. So those numbers, are 15, 16 years old at this point. Other folks who are looking at timber are places like endowment funds, capital partners, institutional investors, because they do see that there is that real value and less volatility than some other investment options. So there are a number of extremely wealthy folks who have been involved in the timber industry for decades. They're in their 70s, 80s, 90s, and they're still making timber investments now. So if you think about it, why wouldn't you? Previously it was only available to folks like these because you could only really purchase timberland in large swaths of land, but we've been able to make it available in much smaller, much more affordable, digestible pieces. And so these are a few folks, such as yourselves, who have decided to invest in teak, have been able to come down and really experience this for themselves. So why own teak? Teak is not a new product. It has been around for centuries. It's been commonly used in the boating industry, so decking on ships. And that's because it is a naturally hard and durable wood. It can withstand the elements. You also see it a lot in outdoor furniture, patio furniture, things like that. And as well as fine furniture. It's also commonly used in construction in climates where it is much more humid, damp, because it can withstand the elements a lot better than certain softer woods like pine or things like that. And we've got another quick video here that will kind of talk a little bit more about kind of the value of not just owning the teak land, but turning that teak into a finished product.
Hi, everybody. Mike Cobb here at the sawmill in the Darien jungle. Listen, if you are a teak investor, this is what you care about the most. Because when you sell logs, you get X. When you sell lumber, which is what we have coming off the line right over there, you get 6 to 8X. And as one of our teak investors, what you get is the value of the lumber, not just the logs. And so this is why you want to come out, see the sawmill in action, see the teak plantation, check out what you can do for yourself, for your family, in terms of a great legacy investment. Come out and check it out. We'd love to have you come see us.
Okay. Oops. And so, like Mike mentioned in that kind of short little clip there, the real value of teak, comes uh, from the finished products that it can that can be made from it. And one of the things that we felt as a company was very important was that all of our timber that will come out from our farms is certified by the Forestry Stewardship Council, which is basically a certification that this is sustainably harvested lumber. So when companies in the US and Canada, like Home Depot, Lowe's, are looking to purchase lumber, they're looking for this certification. And so we felt we knew it was extremely important that we do that. We do believe in giving back to the environment and making the most sustainable choices that we can. So there's a handful of products that can be made from teak. So you've got here lumber, decking, cutting boards, One of the things that we'll be doing at our sawmill is using the kind of sawdust and residual waste to make kind of some additional products that can be used, building materials to really minimize our waste and make sure that we're maximizing the lumber that you own so that you can get the best return on your investment. So if you're looking for furniture, you may have shopped on Wayfair, things like that. We pulled a few Teak items so you can see the actual value here of what these finished products are. So Teak Adirondack chair, just under $800. Teak shower mat, $250. So there is a demand for these products. We're not just kind of pulling them out of the void and hoping that things will work. They're already being marketed, and if we can do it sustainably and get a return for you, that is what we're here for. Like I was mentioning, high-end construction. These Tribeca lofts are featuring teak hardwood flooring. I met a fellow at a conference who is a gate builder. He said he uses a lot of teak in his construction of these gates because, again, it lasts long, it weathers well in the elements. These gates start at about $65,000, so obviously a high ticket item, as well as outdoor furniture. And I will say a fun little story. This picture down here in the bottom left-hand corner, that was my COVID project. My mom had some teak furniture that was sitting in the garage, and I pulled it out. It was looking a little worse for the wear after sitting in the garage for how many years. Did a little power washing, little teak oil, and it spiffed right up. So it really is a durable product that will last and last. And this is also shown here with this teak lounge chair that was pulled from the wreckage of the Titanic and now sits in the Smithsonian. And it quite honestly looks brand new. So with just a little bit of maintenance, you really can keep these pieces forever, which really does show the value and durability of teak. So you own the land, you own the trees, you build the legacy. Another quick little video here.
Hi, everybody. Mike, Carol, and Emily Cobb in the Darien jungle at the site of our original teak plantation that we planted 27 years ago. Carol, that's what it looked like behind us, the cattle pasture when we first looked and bought this property 27 years ago.
Hard to believe.
Hard to believe. And today we've turned cattle pasture into an absolutely beautiful teak forest. And when we did it, Carol and I hoped that we would be around to see 25 years, and we are. And we're going to harvest next year, and then we're going to replant. And Emily Sita, that next harvest is yours and your sister's. So I'm glad you came out to see it, and I hope that many of you will take the opportunity to do something for your family and steward wealth into the future, as Carol and I have done for our daughters.
So yeah, teak really is a neat way to pass on a legacy, whether it's for your children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, friends, family, nonprofit organizations. We've seen people who are investing in it for a number of different reasons and people, because it really is that legacy that can be passed down from generation to generation. So I know you're probably curious, what do these numbers look like? What can I expect with this teak? So right now we are offering the newborn parcels of teak. These are each 1/4 acre of teak. There's averaging about 100 trees to start with on the parcel at the beginning, and then around 20-25 by the time we harvest. So these parcels are currently 8,680 with projected returns around 109 after 25 years. And that's net to you after annual maintenance fees, processing fees, and a management fee. I do want to stress that these are projections. We cannot guarantee anything, but we do believe that these are fairly conservative projections based on historical value of teak. We are actually getting ready to send out our first container of teak lumber that was processed at our sawmill. So once we have that out in the market, we'll be able to get some real numbers, and we will be updating this data, of course. But this is kind of a good idea of what you can expect. This assumes that the price of teak stays around $4. It starts at $4.88, and then with that annual growth rate averaging about 5.5% per year. So again, you own the trees, you own that quarter acre of land. It is titled to you, and you own it indefinitely. I get that question a lot. Do I own it? What happens after the 25 years? You own it. It is yours if you want to pass it on, retitle it to children, grandchildren. I've had a few owners who plan to leave it to a local Panamanian organization or to a particular charity that they're very passionate about back home. So there's a lot of different options that are available to you for those to inherit that land. Another really great option that I sort of touched on at the beginning is that with ownership of the teak, we are also able to offer a permanent residency option in Panama. For a lot of folks who are looking for that plan B, this is by far the most affordable and easiest option for acquiring a second residency that I am aware of really anywhere in the world. So we have put together a great package. It includes 2 parcels of the teak as well as all of the legal fees and government fees for the primary applicant to apply for permanent residency in Panama. You can add on a spouse or children if they're under 18. And it's just a great way to have that peace of mind. I kind of refer to having that second residency like having insurance, where you might necessarily want to use it, but you're glad you have it if you need it. If you are interested in that option, definitely let us know and we can connect you. We have a great legal team that we work with in Panama who really hold your hand every step of the way, and make that process quite smooth and simple. So definitely something to consider if you have been curious about maybe getting a Plan B residency. This is, like I said, by far the easiest one and most affordable one that I am aware of. A lot of people might say, yes, I'm interested, but I can't necessarily put down $8,000 or $25,000 right now. We have set up some great payment plans that start at just $1,500 down with monthly payments. This particular plan that's shown here on the screen is for one individual parcel. We do have a number of different teak packages with multiple parcels. So if you are interested in one of those different packages, definitely chat with your property consultant and they can walk you through kind of what those different payment plan options look like. But we really did want to make this affordable and accessible to as many people as we could. So this is a really exciting option for that. And I have one last video to share with you.
Hi, everybody. Mike Cobb here in the Darien jungle at our teenage teak plantation. You can see it's a giant plantation. It starts about here and then wraps the whole way around this rice field and comes back up through here. And I'm here with my family, Carol and Emily, Ryan and Sebastian and his wife, Marcella. We're all here at the plantation doing an inspection and making sure that the proper maintenance is being done. We're in the process of doing a thinning right now. So taking care of that teak plantation, professional forestry management, and then us checking up to make sure that it's being done properly. Come visit it sometime. We'd love to have you see what we're doing here and take your own tour and hopefully become part of what we're doing here as a legacy investment for your kids, for your grandkids, and little Emily Sita right over there.
And so that leads me into something really exciting that's coming up. And I think, Laura, you wanted to chat about this.
Thanks, Betsy. Yeah, so we've talked a lot, or Betsy's talked a lot during the webinar about coming down and seeing the farm. And so I wanted to talk about a special invitation. This is for owners or people who are thinking of becoming owners. This American Memorial Day weekend, that's May 23rd and 24th, we're going to be hosting an extra special tour, a little bit even more adventurous than what we've done in the past. This is a one night, 2 day tour. We'll leave Panama City. We'll head down to the famous Lake Bayano. There we'll cross over onto this beautiful Panamanian island where we will do a short hike through the jungle into caves and where we're going to see caimans and bats and all kinds of really cool animals, flora and fauna, as they say. And then we will, after we'll have a really nice lunch. After that, we'll head back to our beautiful bus and move on down to the area called Tortee, where the teak farms are. We'll spend one night in a hotel there, and I'll say this is not like Betsy said earlier. This is not a touristy region, but it is authentic, pure Panama. So the hotel we're in is, as Ryan described it, a trembling 2 star. So it's clean.
There's
Um,
hot water.
there's hot water. Yeah. So, but there's not a lot of, it's a step above camping, we'll say. So, and then the next day we'll get up, we'll take a look at our teenage farm, right, Betsy? Teenage farm.
I think I'm not sure if we're doing the teenage or the mature teak farm, one of those
Okay.
two.
But we will be in one of those farms, and then we'll also go see the sawmill in action and then head back to Panama City. So folks could plan to travel back to the US or Canada or wherever they're from on Memorial Day. So we intentionally did it on that weekend so folks have just a little more time to get back to work or their families on Monday morning. So if you're interested in that, let me see. The price is $295 per person for double occupancy or $325 for single. And that's going to get you the transportation, the lodging, the adventure day, as well as a couple meals, 2 lunches. And then you'll be on your own for breakfast and dinner. We do offer a $50 discount on that if you're already an owner. And the QR code you see here will take you to the site to go ahead and book that. We do have early bird pricing right now. Prices will go up 25% on March the 31st. So I hope you can join. If you have questions about the tour, let us know. We'd happy to answer those for you.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, I know Laura and I are both really excited. I've been down to the teak farm, oh gosh, probably 30 plus times at this point, but where I every time it's kind of we're in and we're out. So this will be a really great way to explore a little bit more into that community, learn a bit more about where we have established our business there, connect with local community members, which is a really important thing. I forgot to mention it earlier when I was talking about the sawmill, but we've are really trying to make a positive impact in this community. We've employed quite a number of local folks from the Darien. We've been able to provide them with medical training, which they are able to then share with their community. So, this is very much a local experience. I will say it's probably not for the faint of heart.
That's good.
If you wouldn't go camping, you probably won't like this tour.
Right.
But
And
it, yeah.
yeah, I'll just say on the tour, especially the day when we go to the island, like you will get wet. You probably will get dirty. We will help you make sure that you're prepared with the change of clothes and the things that you'll need for that. But
Mhm.
again, like Betsy said, not for somebody who prefers the Ritz-Carlton.
Yes, but it will be a great experience versus just kind of dashing in and out. It is also a bit of a trek on the bus, so we wanted to split that up so that you don't spend the majority of the day just sitting on a bus. So I know we're both really excited about this and hope that you are as well. And please, if you are interested, do sign up sooner rather than later. We are limited on spaces because we are doing an overnight. So we want to make sure that we can accommodate everybody comfortably. So please do sign up. If you have any questions about the tour, please feel free to reach out to me or Laura, or if you're working with somebody, and they can answer those questions for you. And we do have some time for some questions. So if you have any questions that have come up and you haven't put those into the Q&A section, please do so now.
It looks like we do have one question already, Betsy. Great question. If you purchase the residency package, can you wait a few months before you submit the residency application?
Yes, you can. I will say that you probably don't want to push it too far out. This residency option, it is subject to change by the government of Panama, so they could change the requirements at any given point. They haven't done it. They did a change probably 4 or 5 years ago, so we're not expecting any changes, but they do, when they happen quickly. So you want to make sure that you can get that started as soon as you're able to. But that was a long-winded answer, but
That's a good
yes.
answer. Yes, yes, yes. You never know. Things can change, but yes, there is on our end not a requirement to do it right away.
Mhm.
Okay, next question. Are there annual maintenance fees, sorry, costs that we need to pay before the first harvest?
Great question. Yes. So right now there is an annual maintenance fee. It is $185 per quarter acre parcel. That is subject to change, dependent on inflation and cost of goods and services. I don't have we do have an exact amount that it can
Yeah,
fluctuate. Do you happen to?
it's up to 3.25% per year. Um, or the rate of inflation.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. And you can pay up to 5 years in advance to avoid that. So you could pay $185 times five and then lock that in for 5 years.
Yep. I was going to mention that, but you beat me to it.
Mhm. All right, so next question. Oh, the same question. Do I have to pay maintenance fees on the plot? Yes. Um, So this person just asking about a replay. How much does it cost for the Teak residency application? So yes, we will be sending out a replay.
hmm And I can go back
Uh,
to that residency slide. Here we go.
yeah, thank you.
Yep. So yeah, 25,680. And that's the Teak plus the residency application for you. If you want to add on spouse or children, we can get you those numbers and work out a plan for you there.
Perfect. Okay, Betsy, next question. If you buy a package, how do you resell it later if you change your mind or you need to sell it later?
Yeah, no, that happens. Life happens. Sometimes you need to liquidate for various reasons. And we can certainly assist you in the resale of that plot. You're also welcome to find your own buyer if you have somebody in mind. Um, but that is something that we can assist with. And it's a fairly straightforward process.
And I'll just add to that. Like, it is, you own it, you have the title to it, you can sell it. Absolutely. But you should buy this figuring that it's a 25-year investment. I just want to
hmm
say, like, really don't get into this if you think that this is something you're going to flip. This is not a flip. This is something
No.
that you need to hang on for 25 years really to see the benefit of it. But if for some reason you need to sell, we can help you with that.
Yeah, the like Laura was saying, it's not a flip. The land itself does, of course, have value, but the real value and where you get the most bang for your buck is the trees on there. And obviously, the older the trees are, the more valuable that parcel is. So you hold on to it for that full 25 years, you're going to get the best returns.
Perfect. Betsy, this question is a great one. Once residency is acquired, what are the possibilities to get a passport?
So it is possible with this visa option. There are some visas in Panama that do not have a pathway to citizenship, but this visa that we work with, the Friendly Nations visa, does. After maintaining your permanent residency for at least 5 years, and you can apply once you reach that 5 year mark, you can apply. We have not had anybody go through that process, but from other folks that I've talked to, it can be a several year process. There is a Spanish language test, there's a fairly basic civics test that you do need to take, and you do need to be able to show that you have spent a considerable amount of time in Panama during that 5 year period.
Okay, so another question we have here, are there property taxes in addition to the maintenance fees?
So, great question. On the first harvest, there are no property taxes in Panama, and that is because it is a certified, like I mentioned in some point, it is a certified reforested property. And one of the benefits that we are able to pass on to you is that there is no property tax or income tax in Panama. Want to stress that in Panama, there's no property or income tax. You are responsible for reporting any income generated to your home country for tax purposes. We cannot advise you on that. We are not tax professionals. But in Panama, there is not on subsequent harvests. I believe that there is a tax. I have to double check that though, because I know there was some back and forth about whether or not there would be exemptions made
Mhm.
after that first harvest.
Yeah, and some of that we may not know yet,
Yeah,
but we do know for sure that the first harvest is tax-free in Panama.
in Panama. Yeah.
Mhm. All right. Right. So here's another question. Just to recap, the question is, how long does it take to go from seed to mature teak?
Yeah, so the it's in total it's about 26 years from the time the sapling goes in. But it's a 25 year from the time it's in the ground as a sapling here, like you see on this photo. It's 25 years to the first point where it can be harvested and sold. And it really needs that time to develop all of the hard qualities that teak is known for, um, because the first 10, 15 years are when the tree is growing vertically, and then once it reaches its maximum height, it starts to grow horizontally.
Okay. Okay. So Jonathan is asking, do you have in-depth studies or reports that you can point me to that discuss the teak industry and the future projections for pricing?
Yeah, we can definitely send you a copy of our business plan. We also have a couple of different teak reports that we can send you. We've done a lot of extensive research on the teak market, so happy to send those over to you.
Great. All right. Jessica wants to know, can I purchase teak with my self-directed IRA? And if so, is residency a possibility?
So I'll answer yes. The short answer is yes, you can purchase it with your self-directed IRA, but the self-directed IRA itself cannot own the teak. You would need to have an LLC that is owned by the self-directed IRA owning the teak. So it's a bit of a loophole. I don't necessarily recommend it for just one parcel. If you're looking at, I would say at least probably 5+ parcels, then it's worthwhile. Otherwise, your expenses kind of eat away at your profits. If you are purchasing with your self-directed IRA, residency is not a possibility.
That's right. Okay. All right. Margaret is asking Betsy, how is security on the farms? Is poaching a problem?
So we have folks that are on our farms pretty much 365 days a year. They are located, they're not right on the Pan American Highway. They're a bit off. So you wouldn't necessarily know. There's no big sign saying Teak Hardwoods Farm. They're very low profile. That being said, and like I was saying, we employ people from the local community, so it's in their best interest to make sure that things are safe. Teak also requires a very special type of saw. So your average person is not going to have a diamond blade saw to cut down teak. It is incredibly unlikely. We have not had any problems of trees being stolen. Additionally, when you're passing through from the Darien province into Panama province, which is really the only route that somebody would take a tree like this through, there are agricultural checkpoints that you go through, and the trees are marked with specific colors to as proof that they have been harvested legally. They take it very seriously there. So, um, not a problem
No.
in our eyes.
Yeah. So, someone asks, if I pass away, do my kids get it as an inheritance?
So, yes, but you would want to stipulate that in your will. We also recommend that you get a Panamanian will set up. It's fairly inexpensive. Um, and then reference that Panamanian will in your US or Canadian will or whatever, wherever you have your primary will. You would still have to go through the probate process in Panama, but having a local Panamanian will really expedites that and makes it a, as seamless a process as it can be. And we can definitely connect you with a legal team who can set that up for you and make sure it's a easy process.
Perfect. Okay, we have a question. Are the plots insured in case of fire or other disaster?
So they are not insured, but they do have a sort of a built-in insurance in that after age 3, the teak does become resistant to fire, rot, termites, other sort of pests that come around. Prior to age 3, there is a lot of work that is done around the farm to mitigate fire. So in the dry season, they dig fire breaks, they apply repellents if needed for any sort of bug infestations. And like I mentioned, we do have folks that are on site there pretty much 365 days a year. So they are looking to they're checking the trees, checking the farms, so that if something does happen, they can kind of nip it in the bud and, remove a specific tree if need be. But, you know, been, we've had um, you know, no disasters in our, knock on wood, in our 26 years. And, we're very confident in the work that our management company does to protect those trees for us.
And I'll just add to that, something that we actually added to our contract recently, Betsy, you probably remember, is that we will actually replant your trees for you
Yes.
if they are lost for any reason up until the 3 years of age. So you are warranted or covered for that
Mhm.
first 3 years when they are actually most vulnerable.
Yes, I forgot about that part.
Yes. All right. Looking for other questions. Can the plot be in my kids' names, yet residency application for myself? I think they need to be 18 to put them in their names, right,
If
Bets?
Yeah, so if they're over 18, you can put it in their name. For the residency, we'd have to check with Ryan about if they were purchased in titled under your kids' names, if you could get the residency on
Yeah, so
that.
we can look at case by case basis and
Yeah.
get that question answered for you. What about owning a parcel in a Panamanian foundation, which is similar to a trust?
Yep, that's absolutely doable. Yeah, if you have one of those set up already, that's easy. Um, Again, makes the probate process pretty much easy peasy. So,
Yeah. hmm Okay, so another question. This is great. We got a lot of questions and we still have time. So, in 25 years, once harvested, what will it cost me to plant again?
so right now the cost to replant is about $400, $500 per parcel. Um, we can't predict the future, unfortunately, and tell you what it will be in 25 years. But we will, of course, do our best to keep it as low as possible. What most people plan to do is simply have that replanting fee deducted from their harvest proceeds, so you don't even really see that fee in the end.
Mhm. And that's just that we pass on whatever the cost is. It's not something we're making money on.
Yeah.
All right, so Peter's asking, he says he's looking at Google Maps. Is there a landmark, a village, etc., that we could identify the plantations?
We do have the exact GPS coordinates, and we can certainly send those to you. But there is a town called Torti, Torti. That is probably the closest you're going to get on Google Maps.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay, and one last question here. How many plots are needed for residency for my wife and I?
Yeah, great question. So you could do that residency package, and then we could just add your wife as a dependent applicant, and we can get you the cost for that. So just those two parcels are needed for both of you.
Okay, so that goes through our list of questions there, Betsy.
All
Um,
right.
there might have been one or two really specific questions that we didn't answer live, but we will have your property consultant reach out to you if you have a more customized question and answer that for you directly.
hmm And I forgot one of the most important things. We have a special
Oh,
that we got so into our questions. As a thank you for joining us tonight. If you do decide to move forward with Teak ownership, which we hope some of you will, if you do decide to purchase 10 parcels or more, you will receive one newborn parcel free. So you can consider turning $86,000 into about 1.2 million. So there is that offer. Like I was saying, we do have several different packages that are available. So if you're interested in more than one, but less than 10, we can certainly work with you on that. And those also apply with the different payment plans that are available. So, um, yeah, the time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. So if you have any questions that we didn't get to during the webinar, please send those over to info@teakhardwoods.com or reach out to your property consultant and we will make sure to get those answered. And other than that, I hope to see some of you in May for our tour.
me too.
And yeah, thank you again for joining us this evening and look forward to seeing you again next time.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Bye.
Laura.